Are you on? Karen, is this one not supposed to be on? But it's supposed to be on, this thing smooth. Yeah? What do you mean why?
two, one. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check. Mic check.
2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
It's very long. It's going to go off. Still morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. That's much better. We've got a whole long weekend ahead of us, so we should be a bit more excited. Welcome to the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board, in short, NIPDB. It's not NIPD, NIPDB'B. NIPB. We know it's a mouthful. It's NIPDB. My name is Catherine Shipushu. I'm the Senior Manager for Marketing, Communications and Branding here at NIPDB. And I'm very happy to see familiar faces, new faces, and I'd love to welcome everyone to our first media engagement for the year 2023. Yes. I know we are expecting a lot more people to join us, but we always try to respect those who are on time and to start on time so that we can also finish on time. And at this juncture, I'd also like to welcome our online audience that's joining us either on Facebook and on YouTube. You're welcome to join this session. And I think our colleagues are also watching online, so we want to welcome also the team here at NIPDB watching online. So today's session is exciting for us for a number of ways, and I don't want to get over myself and maybe speak on what Menangula is going to speak. But for us as a public organization, it's always important, first of all, to create relationships of trust. And we take the media as a very key stakeholder, because without the media, we are not able to communicate. We're not able to inform the public about what the government is doing in terms of economic development, what are the opportunities for our MSMEs, what are the opportunities for other Namibians for whom we are created to work and to serve. So today, we really want to engage you on a number of things, basically looking past the looking at the past 500 days. I think it's been 500 days since the board was created. What have we achieved in those 500 days? What were the challenges, and what does the road ahead look like for NIPDB and for Namibia? So we have a very short program. I think it's going to be short. You've got one like this at your different tables. We'll start with a short statement by Ms. Margaret Gustavo, and then our CEO and chairperson is going to take through a presentation. And then, of course, because you are the media, we give you a chance to ask any questions that you may have through a Q&A. And I think at this point, I'd like to welcome Margaret to say a few words, and then thereafter, Ms. Nangola will then take the stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Catherine. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I know it's the day before the long weekend. I heard from one of my colleagues, the media colleagues, is that their office is closed today. I don't know how many of our offices are already closed, so we want to say thank you for coming. Thank you for, although the office was closed, that you still made the time to be here today. And yeah, we appreciate it, and we wish you a great weekend ahead. But before we go ahead of ourselves, I just wanted to touch on something that, that's very close to our hearts as the NIPDB, as the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board, and that's the relationship we have with you, the media. And it's really a twofold. Without touching on your editorial rights and what you need to cover and what you need to cover, and in other words, there's two things that tug us. And one end is really talking about, if you look at what's happening in the country right now, it's like there's this, it's almost like something is bubbling up, like there's a volcano that could potentially erupt, but a good volcano, because the heat that's going to come out of there is just going to benefit all of us as a country. The oil and gas find, we know that we've got green hydrogen projects, we've got, just the formation of the NIPDB. And so as partners, as media partners, we want to encourage you and ask you to work with us. One, to please challenge us when we need to be challenged. And we hear, Catherine is here, that you can ask questions and make sure that we answer your questions as quickly as we should, and to make sure that you have the right information. But two, let's celebrate together, because the media sets the tone for the sentiment in the nation, and even the sentiment for investors. So we've got a lot of stories that when you're writing for the Namibian public, and then it goes into the international world, and people are like, I don't know if I want to go to Namibia. And so as key stakeholders together, that we can work together, and let's talk about some of the great things that are happening in the country. And let's also talk about, how am I going to hold Margaret accountable to what she's supposed to be doing, and to hold anybody accountable for that matter to what we're supposed to be doing. So that's what I wanted to share with us. We've seen that many countries are made or broken by the media. And that's why we value the interactions we have with you. And so at the same time, there's this one country, I'm not going to mention names before you all come and slap me afterwards. Hey, don't come up here with names like that. But there's one country that we know, they make that media talks about their country, even the things that are wrong. They'll make it seem like it's the rightest thing for them to do. But it's really just to, one, change the mood in the country so that people can see, you know what, we've got these challenges. And I was sharing with Catherine the other day, a friend of mine, we were talking about Namibia, we were talking about the challenges in the country, and he said to me, my wife has got many reasons to divorce me. Many. Whether it's because I leave my socks lying there, or I don't share with the cooking, but she's got also many reasons on why she needs to stay with me. And so it's finding that balance between, the many reasons why we can give up on Namibia, but there's more reasons on why we can not give up on Namibia, and why we can celebrate Namibia and put Namibia on the map together. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. So in light of that, it's really just in this next year, there's going to be a lot of things that we've put together that must happen in this year. And so we want to be able to balance that we, please, as I said, challenge us. Come to us, share with us this and this and this, what really happened here, and how can we give you the information on time. And at the same time, as we share information with you on what we're doing that's positive to benefit not NIPDB but Namibia, to benefit Namibians, let's showcase the opportunities that are out there in the country for Namibians to be able to leverage and start building Namibian companies and brands that can be exported. Like the US, you know, like we've got fantastic Namibians who are living in the US, and the US government snatches them up and makes them, yeah, it's a USA government, it's a US, you know, participant. And so we also need to snatch up our own Namibians and celebrate them and celebrate the things that they do, and even the things that we do every day to put Namibia on the map and also just to uplift the mood in the country. So I thank you.
Thank you very much, Margaret. Before we continue on with the program, we've got three, in fact, hampers over there. We want to test your knowledge a little bit. So I'll be asking random questions throughout the conversation. If you get the question right, you walk away with a beautiful hamper. And because we are an organization that, you know, walks the talk, all the products around in these hampers are sourced from Namibian MSMEs. You know, we have a component of MSME development as part of our mandate. So we like to support them, not just in terms of the programs and the activities and the initiatives that we introduce, but when we do need to procure services as much as possible, we try to support our MSMEs as well. So on that point, I'll ask the first question, and you can just put your hand up and you can answer. I think we have a microphone somewhere just so we can hear you. Where's the microphone, the roving microphone at the back? Tunahola, can you assist us at the back there? Where is the microphone? Okay. Unfortunately, apparently it's conflict of interest. So corporate governance issues, unfortunately. Sorry, Dino. So are you ready for the first question? Yeah? Okay. I'm going to try to make it quite easy. When did the NIPDB start operating? Is there a hand somewhere? Is it Jemima? Margaret, sorry. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
2019.
Is she right? No, sorry, it's not 2019. If we're talking about 500 days, okay. Okay, I think the lady there in black, she was second.
April 2021.
Is she correct, Nangola? Yes.
Not at all. But it was 500 days, Jemima.
Please come and get your hamper. Thank you so much. Okay, so please get ready for the next two questions coming up throughout the program. On that note, may I please ask our chairperson and CEO, Ms. Nangola Wanja, to come up for her presentation. Can we please give her a round of applause as she makes her way?
Thank you very much, Kathleen, and good morning. I like attention, eh? So if I greet, I want people to greet me back. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. So I think my voice is on, and I think, is this working? Okay. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. I believe it's mostly members of the media, but also, of course, any other Namibian colleague who is following us online. Margaret and Catherine have set the stage as to what the purpose of this engagement is. And really, it's about, of course, to tell you our story of what we have been doing for the past few days or number of days. And you can never imagine how much time goes fast, especially if you are being held accountable. Then you know I've got this milestone to reach, and it's like, hey, The milestone is coming up, but the time is also running so fast. So yes, I was appointed in this position. I started on 1 January 2021, but we were kind of 2 and 3 of us until 1 April 2021. So we then, and the company is registered in 27 October 2020. So 27 October 2020, during that period, we were busy putting together just to make sure that when I start working, there is an institution to work for. So yes, so there's many dates. I think if you said any of those dates, if you said October 2020, then you say you have seen our certificate of incorporation. That is the certificate of incorporation for NIPDB. If you said January, we will also say you got it right, because then maybe you saw my employment contract, which says I started 1 January 2021. And if you say April, you are also right, because that is actually the day we started running, because on that day we had more employees. So I think we have engaged with the media before. This is not the first engagement. We have had 1 or 2 engagements, and the engagement is really just to keep you updated, because like Margaret says, the relationship with the media should be one of 2 phases. One phase is holding us accountable, and another phase is, of course, supporting the activities that we have of promoting Namibia. So we know that there is many institutions in Namibia, government institutions, that are tasked with promoting Namibia. For example, when we talk about tourism, we have got the NTB, we have got the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, that are all charged with the responsibility of promoting Namibia as a preferred tourist destination. And at the same time, we have got the Ministry of Information Information and Communication Technology, that is mandated being the public, almost like the public speaker and the communication person for the government of Namibia, if I can put it that way. And then you've got us, who are tasked with the mandate of promoting Namibia as a preferred investment destination. And normally we look at ourselves as a marketing department of Namibia for that product of investing Namibia. So when we normally talk, and I discuss with our team, is most of our effort is not about NIPDB. Of course, when you talk about your product, the messenger does matter. And NIPDB matters, and what we do matters as a messenger that is carrying the message of promoting Namibia. But what we want to talk to you about, and what we want to see, it's about Namibia. Namibia is our product. Namibia is why we are here, and Namibia is who and what we want to deliver. And we want to make sure that the media partner with us in making sure that this product called Namibia gets its fair share in the market, the international market, the local market, and so forth. And yes, we want you to make sure that any defect of our product is pointed out so that we can make sure that we correct that defect. So if there is anything of our product, Namibia, that need to be corrected so that it's more acceptable to the consumers, then we need to make sure that we correct that. And many times we talk about the ease of doing business, the cost of doing business, the competitiveness, the policy landscape, and so forth. So yes, there's a lot of things that we talk about and that we need to consider, and I will try to take you through what we have done. Now, where I'm sitting is when I was employed 2 years ago, I thought 1,000 days are a lot of days. So I made myself a promise that if by 1,000 days that I'm here, Namibia does not look any different from the date when I joined, then definitely the president will have to find somebody else who can do this job, because then it probably means I'm not the right person. And now guess when is that 1,000 days clocking? 27 September 2023. So that does not give me a lot of time. Between now and then, I've got 6 months to make sure that if there is any gap that can just prove to somebody that you have made a difference. So of course, if all we hear is like, why is the NIPDB here? Then definitely we did not do what we were supposed to do, and we need to make sure that there is a right team, because Namibia is a product that is worthy promoting. It's a product that can be accepted in the market, and therefore if it's not accepted and if it is not making strides, then it's probably because we don't have the right team to promote it. And what therefore we have been doing is really, since I was employed, is how do we make sure that we have got the right team from the advisory board to the management exco, to the rest of senior management, to the rest of the employees. How do we build a team that will be able to work with all our colleagues in the public sector and all our colleagues in the Namibian private sector and beyond to bring about a change and to solve the challenges that are facing us. So I will try and tell you what have we been doing and what are some of the outcomes. And of course, we will take questions. But it's not only questions we are looking for. If you've got words of advice, we will also welcome those words of advice. So if we look at that one, so what is the objective of this engagement? So the objective of this engagement is fourfold. One is to give you an overview of what do we do. So we always try to remind people because there is a lot of misunderstanding as to what we do, what we don't do, where we are, why are we involved in this one. It's always a challenge and it's always important to just recap. What is it that we do? And then, of course, touch on the highlight. We've got our annual report that we'll share with you later. And that annual report, there is one error there, and it's actually interesting on the error. It's on page 80. And I'm an auditor by profession. So normally I was trained to just pick up error. If you give me a document and I look at it, my eye will land on where the error is. So when they gave me the first set that was printed, I looked at, and for some other reason, I landed on page 80. Maybe there's other errors, and that's where the error was. And I asked Margaret, there's an error in this annual report. Find it. And then she says, okay, fine. Let me drill down. It's on page 8. Now I cannot find it. Okay, go, note 5. So, and it is something that is supposed to be called trade and other receivables, and it's called trade and other newspapers. So don't ask me, how did we end up with trade and other newspapers? So now we had the first set printed, and then we picked it up quickly when we printed it about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So we kind of say, okay, we sign off the correct one. Printer, please print this one. And then we got it, I don't know, yesterday. Now they're showing me, sorry, the error is still there. Okay, maybe we will not give it. I said, look, let's just give it to the newspapers because somebody wants that thing to remain trade and other newspapers. Let's give it that one. If you are going to get whoever made the error to pay for the reprinting, it's something else. But I want to declare that error before you get the document. So maybe human errors, other ones are there, but that is the particular one. And I think I just found it interesting that it says other newspapers. But in the sentence above that one, I think there is something on newspaper. Maybe it is where the error comes from. So we will share that one with you later. And then we want to highlight some of the challenges that we face in the investment landscape. What are the challenges? Why don't we have already 20,000 large projects that have employed every unemployed Namibian? We can talk about that one. And then we will share some of our activities and related outcomes with those challenges. What are we doing to overcome those challenges? And what are some of the successes looking like today? So that is where we are really. So before I do an overview of what we do, I think one page that is not there is just saying if we wake up every day at NIPDB and people ask us, why do you exist? We always give this answer. We exist to unlock opportunities that will enable a quality of life for all Namibians. So unlock, important because we believe that there's many opportunities in Namibia. We want to work with other Namibians to unlock those opportunities. And the other one is quality of life. It's really about, yes, many times we are told you can get a job, but that job does not make a difference. And then enabling. We are not going to say we will make every Namibian rich because it is up to every Namibian to take advantage of the opportunities. But it's up to us, the whole of the public sector, working together with civil society, working together with the private sector to make sure that we create an enabling environment where Namibians who want to take up opportunities, who are able to take up opportunities, can take up that opportunity. And therefore, if my team and I wake up every day, what is the one thing that keeps us awake at night? It is the unemployment in Namibia. So if we wake up every day, we say the unemployment, the inequality, and if we hear a report of poverty, that keeps us up at night. And therefore, if we are working 24/7 or 16/7 or whatever, it's about how can we make sure that the opportunities that are in the public sector, the opportunities that are in the private sector, the opportunities that are in Namibia, how do we make sure that we support all the government effort and we connect government entities and connect private sectors and government entities to seize those opportunities? So what do we then do? We have got 2 mandates. So those are the 2 mandates that were given by His Excellency. Mandate 1, promote and develop and facilitate investment. So if you see, we are called the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development. So we promote investment, but we also develop investment, and we develop MSMEs. And I think, like it was said by the president when he started, there might be other things that relate to economic development that the president may require from time to say, help us develop that. So we are here to do investment promotion and development, and develop and support the development of the Namibian economy. And of course, then facilitation, which we will talk about it later. And then the second part of it is MSME development. So making sure, the president says, when he announced the creation of Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board, so his announcement was made in March of 2020. Before then, he appointed me to start 1 January 2021. And on the 16th of March 2020, when he made that announcement, he says that the only way we can create jobs in Namibia is through MSMEs. So yes, large projects are good. They are important. We need them because many times MSMEs need to provide services to that. So large projects make an impact through indirect employment. But if you think we can deal with the challenges of Namibia by bringing in many projects, that will not happen. And therefore, he then says the main reason of having those 2 mandates together is because if you have got MSMEs and the person responsible for investment that should enable those MSMEs, if you have them under one roof, then you can hold that person responsible for connecting the 2. So it is very, very important to make sure that we look after our MSMEs, because if we want to create jobs, that is where the impact will come from, MSMEs. But it starts with having sometimes large corporation. Margaret and I recently met a CEO of one of our large local investors, and he said, look, we as a company, we employ 2,400 people, and we are one of the largest employers in Namibia. But we enable in this sector, on this part of our business, we enable 6,000 people. On this part, we enable another 6,000, so we've got an impact there. So this 12,000 will not be enabled if we did not have the larger corporation. But at the same time, that larger corporation, without a trained and supported network of people that will be plugged into that investment, we will not get the benefit that we need from Namibia. And that's why you kind of need to promote both. So looking at the mandate, and I will try to go through first now from here on, because we have got a few slides to go through. So looking at this one, so when you talk about investment, what happens? Because people come and ask you, okay, you went to Dubai, where are the investments? It's like, the point is, you don't go to a conference that day or to a place that day, and then you come with, and here is a contract signing. Unfortunately, we wish it was like that one. But it does not work like that one, because it's like marketing. So marketing works through stages. So number first is, we as an investment promotion agency, the way it works is, in the first stage is you attract. So you do the work of attracting. And then after you have attracted, somebody will say, I think I want to hear more. And then after they have heard more, still under the attraction, then you say, okay, I have heard more. I definitely want to invest in Namibia. Can I come and visit you? And then they come and visit. After they have visited, then they say, what are the opportunities? And then they see opportunities. And they say, okay, I think I will invest. I want to invest in this opportunity. Then we have a lead. And then after that lead, then we start taking that lead to government, saying, government, we attracted, there is that lead. Can we support it to make it work? And then it requires various government support, because they need licenses, they need permits, they need this, they need the welcome and so forth. And therefore, now that's what we call bolstering. Bolstering is now you are now not promoting to investor anymore. You are now promoting to Namibians, and you are promoting to the government to accept this investment. So that's what you do under the bowstring. And then you go to the connecting. Now, after it has been accepted, then you say, thank you very much. How do I connect it to service providers? Do I have service providers in Namibia who can support this project? Do I have skills in Namibia who can support this project? Do I have goods and services? Do I have raw materials? And therefore, before the person can determine whether they want to set up, they find out, are you close to the raw materials? Are you close to the market? Do you have the skills? And I think we will look at that one a little bit in detail. And then after that is done, then you release the project. And therefore, what do you want to do? You want to make sure that you have got many investments at various stages so that you are releasing many at any point in time as much as possible. So when we come in the office, the first thing is, how do you reach many people? Put quite a number of investment into what we call the pipeline, and then start working into converting that pipeline. And of course, you will not say, okay, my pipeline is fine now, let me rest, because then you will require another one, because while the project is in the pipeline, you can still lose it. So you now have to make sure that you kind of continue to look after it tenderly, and then you, of course, then bring other in the pipeline, work to get it out of the pipeline, and so forth. So that is, so at various stages, then there's various activities that we have there. What we do then, the work we do is we promote, we facilitate, and we do advocacy of policy, and so forth. So in the promoting is about attending events. I will show you which type of events do we attend normally, attending of conferences, marketing, and so forth. And then facilitating is about then talking to people and getting permits and getting the support. Sometimes it's even connecting to financiers, because you find a project with people that have got know-how, but they don't have the money, and you need to connect them to money. Sometimes you have got the people with the money, and they want projects. They say, give me a project to finance. Actually, we find more of those ones sometimes that want to find projects for them to finance, and that is what you look at. So in the MSME space, what is it that we do? MSMEs have got quite a number of challenges. What we do is, as a NIPDB, we are not here to implement. We are here to facilitate relationships and to identify gaps and to find people who will fill those gaps. Because if we are here to implement, then this organization will become 1,000 people. Now, we all know the public sector is already big. We do not want the large private sector and a public sector. And of course, that institution is not necessarily the right implementer. So what we want to do is find out what is in the ecosystem, what is missing in the ecosystem, how do we work with many other people to make sure that the ecosystem is complete. So we look at financing. Actually, there's a lot of money available in Namibia. Why is it not accessible to MSMEs? And is it actually the right type of money? And is it available at the right cost? That is some of the challenges. So is it the type of money, and it's the cost at which it's available, and the condition. And if it is not, what are the challenges? So there's a lot happening in that space. And it's information sharing. Many times we find out that information about, for example, how do you get your product onto the shelf at ShopRite? We said, no, you cannot get your product there. But there's actually a way of getting your product. But many people don't know. So we need to share that information. And then we need to capacitate people, because many times you've got many SMEs, but now just look at this. As an MSME, you are the managing director, you are the financial director, you are the marketing director, you are the human resource director, you are the ICT director, you are the everything director. So now it's like, oh my goodness, which hat am I putting? And how do I get up? So we need to find a way of supporting MSME with all those activities. Number one, yes, is to capacitate them to have a high-level understanding, but it's also to find out how do we create an ecosystem that can help somebody who, especially when we can come up in the startup especially phase. How do we help startup not being pulled down by all of these responsibilities? Then, of course, we want entities to scale from the M to the S, from the S to the E to the M, Thank you. So MSM. So we want them to scale, and then we want them to get out of our MSME pool. So we said that, but there's people who says, I want to remain an MSME, leave me alone. And we said, we respect that one. But that one is the one that we say, okay, that one, let us leave them where they are. Let us focus on what we call the high potential pool. We will talk about that one shortly. Startups. So startup, of course, we know that startup, when we say startup many times is in IT, but there's a lot of startup that is also not just in IT. And we need to focus on a lot of startup activities. We know that there has been a company that is called Startup Namibia. MIT and GIZ have done well in getting that company up and running. Namibia is now at least listed in the top 100 countries in the startup economy, and we want to see Namibia climbing ladders, the ladder in that scaling, and making sure that we have got funding for startup, which is actually available globally. How do we make sure that that funding, if you say sometimes you research, you find out that Africa has received how much billion of startup funding, mostly going to Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya. How do we make sure that Namibia gets a fair share of that amount that is available globally? Building networks. So MSMEs cannot cooperate without a good network, whether it's a network of suppliers, network of mentors, network of customers, and so forth. And then, of course, policy. We also need an enabling policy for MSME. So we have got the MSME policy of 2016. The Ministry of Industrialization and Trade has extended it by about 2 years. They are now busy working on the next MSME policy. But we also need a startup law. And of course, many people are asking, how can we make sure that the tax is also responsive to MSMEs? And then market access. Normally, I said that one is my favorite. Because without market access, even if money is there, you will never access it. And the moment you've got market access, sometimes even the request for collateral disappears because you have got offtake. So we need to work, how do we enable government offtake and so forth? So looking at what we have from you will read the annual report, so I'm not going to go into the annual report. What you will see in the annual report is our one-stop center. So if you have got any questions on one-stop center, Jessica is sitting there in that other, at that other table. Please ask her questions later. How is it operating? But we are proud to say at least government has approved we can have a one-stop center. The one-stop center has been built. It started operating. Everybody is not yet there, but at least we have started working on that one, and we are supporting investors in that one-stop center. So I think what is important to know today is for us to support you, you must be a registered investor. Yes, we do not serve MSMEs in the one-stop center. So there's a place somewhere else for us to serve MSMEs, and Dino is here specifically for MSMEs. So when we've got support that is required for MSME, because we have identified that the need for MSME and the need for investors are completely different. So that is a one-stop center for investors, and for MSMEs, there will be a one-stop center that we will set up soon. The building is there, everything is there. We are just busy making sure that it works. So those are the 9 entities that we have identified that in terms of the physical presence, those are the ones that will be there. But we are also busy working to make sure that we put in place what we call investor portal. That is a single sign-on for investors so that we can start automating government services, and then investor can just log on once and will be able to get access to all the services of the various government enterprises, not only the ones that are listed here, but all of the other ones. So you might have heard, for example, Home Affairs has launched e-services in terms of visa. So what we want to do then is if you enter on the single sign-on and you've got that password, you will access Home Affairs, you will access Social Security when they are online, you will access NAMRA, you will access, so that is what we are busy working on, of course, but it will take a bit of time. What you will also find in the annual report is the sectors that we have identified. So if you ask us, and I think this is one message, what sectors are we promoting? We start from the top and we end at the bottom. If you ask us the top sectors, we have identified 10 sectors. Those 10 sectors came from 5 from the Harvard Growth Lab, and 5 we added in terms of services, because when we did the Harvard Growth Lab, services was not part of the study, but then also we added some of the ones that are new. So we've got renewable energy. I think without a doubt, we know that Namibia's energy capacity is very high. So renewable energy, we've got agri and food industry, we've got chemical and basic materials, we've got transport and logistics, we've got services, and then we've got metals and mining, we've got machinery, we've got fintech, we've got tourism, and we've got exploration. So please, those are the 10 we are promoting. But I normally like to say, please give me something that can fit on a hand. So if you ask me the 5, and this is for everybody, so if you ask what are the 5 ones that we have? Number 1, of course, energy. We said energy. Why energy? Our energy capacity in terms of abundance of wind and solar, and of course with the new find of oil and gas, and the potential for green hydrogen, I think it is just natural that energy has to be one of that. Number 2 is mining. Of course, we know that mining is critical to energy transition, the technology that is required there. And yes, God has blessed Namibia with quite a number of natural resources. And when we talk about mining, it's also adjacent sectors into how do we move into beneficiation and value addition. The third one is agriculture. 60% of Namibians, or 70% or so of Namibians are impacted by agriculture in one way or another. 25% of Namibians are employed in agriculture. It contributes about 6% to GDP. And we have got a lot of untapped land. Definitely, and of course, food sustainability and self-sustenance is important. So we cannot do without agriculture. Number 4, with the beauty of Namibia, there is no way you cannot promote investment in tourism. So I don't think I need to speak a lot there. And number 5, given that we have got so many graduates and so many grade 12 that can speak good English, there is no way we will leave out services, and in terms of especially business process outsourcing. That is one that we want to drive. So if you are asked, what are the top 5 sectors that you are promoting? Those are the 5 sectors. If you want to say all of the one we are looking at, these are the ones. If you want to get one, I think it's challenging. If you ask me 3, it's challenging also, because then, of course, agriculture I cannot leave out, tourism I cannot leave out, and then I've got mining. It's challenging not to include mining. Then energies. So if you ask me less than 5, I will struggle to give you the top 3 and so forth, but at least I can give you the top 5, and of course this 10. Now, it does not mean that we do not welcome investment in education. It does not mean we do not welcome investment in health. We will do and facilitate all of those ones. But when we go to market and promote and seek for somebody, our own marketing strategy, if I can put one, those are the ones that we are talking about a lot. You will probably see in our annual report that we have talked about our culture and how we engage our people. And last year we launched what we call Brave for Namibia. That is our slogan for our internal culture that we have. So our core values are Namibia, no one left behind, accountability, making a difference, integrity, brilliance, innovation, and agility. That is our core values. And we say that, of course, we need BRV, which if you kind of say it first, it's like brave. So belonging, result, virtue. Those are the 3 things that we want to promote, and our culture fits there. And with a slogan, Brave for Namibia. So whatever we need to do, we need to be, of course, it's the land of the brave, and it's not just brave for brave's sake. We need to be brave for Namibia. So if you look at that one, what are the challenges in the annual report? You will find that we got a qualified audit report. It was 2 areas of qualification. One is what they call completeness of donation income. If you find any company that is a Section 21 company, you will most of the time find that qualification, because you cannot anticipate that somebody will give you money, and therefore auditors, of which I was one, always give that qualification. So that is a standard one. The second qualification you will find is a qualification that relates to commercial offices and the spending of that commercial offices, and normally how it ties to the accounting principles. And normally what happens with expenses is You say until it's incurred, it's not an expense. But what you do with commercial offices is you pay them money, they report later. Government accrues for things on a cash basis. The moment they disburse money, it becomes an expense. But it's not always the case. And of course, there were challenges of transfers of commercial offices from MIT to NIPDB. I think that is an open secret that we had challenges there. And therefore, making sure that who we give the money, do they report to us, do they report to the ministry? Between there were challenges in that accountability. So those are the two qualifications that you will find in the audit report. Other than that, the other ones that we have noted, which is not an audit report, it's just challenges we have noted, is slow conversion of the pipeline. So we have a pipeline that is growing, but to deliver, it's a challenge. We'll look at it. And then the diversification. Last year, our diversification was significantly energy. We will show you now that it has since then changed a lot. And then, of course, resource availability of capacity, internal capacity. At the time, we have only filled 61% of our positions. We have now almost filled, but that is why we're saying that was by March last year, and we have moved on. So especially like on the resource availability, we have now employed all our employees. Yes, from time to time, we are still employing a few people, or somebody leaves, we employ, but we are now at a place where we can deliver. And of course, like I said, diversification. The two in the middle, I will tell you, what have we done since then? So what are investors looking for? That is what investors are looking for. So this comes from a recent survey by the World Bank, and it kind of gives you quite a number. I'm not going to go through them. Where we say red, that is where Namibia is struggling to attract investors. Number one, what is the one there? Of course, the local acquisition target. Many times investors, when they come, they don't want to do green investment. They want to find out, is there an existing project or existing something that we can buy? And many times in Namibia, we have got those limited at the scale that investors are looking for. And because of that one, we have got a challenge. The other one is sourcing local input. Am I close to the raw materials that I require? That is a challenge in getting investors because, okay, now I sit in Namibia, but all my resources will come from Europe, and then I export to Europe. Why must I come to Namibia again? So, and you don't have the market. So number one, you don't have the market. Number two, you don't have the input. So how does that work? So, and that's why when you now select your sectors, you kind of need to consider this matters. So that is one of the challenges that we have. Number three is low cost, low input cost. Is Namibia the cheapest when it comes to input cost? No, our labor is not the cheapest in the world. Asia has got low input, especially in manufacturing. Asian countries have got low input cost. Energy, we have got a project, which I'm sure it's, again, an open secret, a project called Scorpio. It's a project in the south. It can employ about 600 Namibians. It's got capacity for further multiplier effect. The investment is about 6 billion. Why has it not started yesterday already? They cannot afford our energy cost. So if the energy cost is where it is, they will not be able to make profit, and that's why it is up to now not being implemented because of the energy, of the input cost. Previously, they used to be part of a group that had a good agreement with South Africa, and they were getting energy at very, very reasonable cost. Now we are not able to do so. So our input cost is also a challenge to especially beneficiation. And then low taxes, that is what investors are looking for. Our taxes are not the lowest. Yes, there are cases where we are doing well, but also it's not the lowest. Then we have got market size. I think that is, we don't need to talk about that one. Yes, we've got access to SACU, and therefore the market can include South Africa. We will talk about ability to export. And then the other one is supply chain and talent. So those are the red ones, and that makes it difficult to sometimes attract investors. But what makes it good to attract investors? So because we have got resource endowment, in the resource, it is easy. That's why energy, then it's easy because people will not require the energy, so they can come because we have got the natural resources. Mining, they will come because we have got the natural resources. Political stability, people want to be in countries where it is politically stable. And then, of course, legal and regulatory. And I put there legal and regulatory and investor protection. Yes, we've got a gap in policy, but we've got a very good legal system. Recently, there is a mining company that won a case against our Minister of Mines and Energy, but the way they put it to market, and they had a conversation with us because they were already having a conversation with them. They put it in such a way that they market the stability, the rules of law in Namibia. So yes, like I said, we have got a gap in policy, but we're positive. And there's also areas, for example, ability to export. Although we need to fine-tune some protocol, there is a lot of agreements that Namibia has entered into with various countries, the AGOAs, the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, the EU, EPA, so our agreement, they are enabling us to export. The recent agreement, Memorandum of Understanding between Namibia and the EU, they will enable us to export. So the amber color there is because of some protocols that we need to do, but the market size is there. So that is some of the areas that you need to look at. And then challenging to pipeline conversion. So I said there, we have got challenges with pipeline conversion. What are those challenges? Number one is the legislative gaps. So there are some investors who are saying we want to invest, but we would like this policy at least in place before we can invest. Some of them are asking questions. So we have cited examples there. The ones, you can read all of them, but maybe the main one that I will talk about there is rather incentives. Incentives is actually, you remember that Namibia has a special economic zone. So the special economic zone was taken and now there is no incentive. And other countries have got incentive regimes that are very, very competitive, and that is what making their cost of doing business low, making their taxes low. And therefore, incentives and special economic zone are actually one because they are linked. If you ask me what is in the legislative gap, what is the top one? It is that one. What is the other one? Data protection is the other one, especially business process outsourcing that we want to fast track. They have got laws. Many of their clients are from Europe. They have got laws that protect investor information and so on. And those investors and their clients will not allow them to work in countries where there's not a data protection law. So if you ask me on that legislative gap, the one that I want first tomorrow will be those ones. And then, of course, the Namibia Investment Promotion and Facilitation Act. The other ones are important, but are these ones, they are not really the ones that are holding us up, if you ask me. Then, of course, administrative gaps and the turnaround times. So this one is just about investor is there, they want to do something, and then they must get approval from governments. And the point that we found out with the ease of doing business is the stops that they need to make. It's like, let's say, 15 stops. Some of those stops is in the same ministry. You start the stop here, you go here, and then you come back to the same ministry. Before you complete those steps, 3 years have gone by. Yes, at one stop, you can stay there for 6 months or longer. And the point is, sometimes at the various steps, you get asked exactly the same question that you were asked at the previous stop. And some of it is actually also because of land. There is not investment that you can get without land. And we know that land is a sensitive matter in Namibia. And because it's a sensitive matter in Namibia, government is very careful about giving land to foreigners, whether it is on a long-term lease, but then foreigners, they cannot invest without getting land. So because of that land, whenever an investment requires huge land that is involved, even let's say mining happens on some of areas which is farming land. And now, number one, if the company that is doing is a foreigner, number one, they need to first get a waiver that says government will not buy that farm. Government, therefore, waive the right to sell the farm or to get somebody. Or maybe government will buy it. It's a long process.